Hey everybody, this is Mr. Cadenhead. It is Friday at the end of the first week of our distance learning. So I want to welcome you to our first Friday and say thank you to all of you who logged in and joined us this week. It's nice to see you guys again online. At least I know our teachers have been seeing you, and that's awesome. And we've been seeing you guys as you've been coming here to pick up your materials. And so it's good to be back together again. I want to go over a couple things with you today that I think are really important in the near future as we talk about communicating, especially in these distance learning times. When we don't see each other face to face sitting in class on a daily basis. But just in general, these are things that are really important for us as educators, that you walk away from Folsom High School with a lot of these skills. Okay, so today we're really going to focus on the importance of communication, which you work on all the time in your English classes, and ideally you're speaking and listening and working on this in all of your classes. And there's a certain kind of communication that I want to focus on today, and that really is more about email communication and giving you the tools that you need to communicate effectively with us and people in the future through email. But in general, when we talk about professional style communication, it's critical in your future because in your job and your career, you absolutely will need to communicate professionally, either through a resume, a letter of intent, or rather a cover letter, or a letter of intent to apply for a job, we call that sometimes. And hopefully we'll get some opportunities to teach you a little bit more about, writing those this year. But those are important to job and career. Personal statement, obviously, those of you getting ready to apply to college this year, you seniors, that accompanies many of your college applications. Voicing a concern to a business if you disagree with a business decision or something didn't go your way in terms of what a business decided or your relationship with the business, returning an item for a refund, being able to communicate with them in a professional way, an appropriate way to ultimately get to an outcome that is in your favor. General communication with your employer is critical, and appropriate communication with your employer if you want to keep that job. And communication with your teacher, counselor, administrator, both in high school and college, by the way. And so it's critical as you guys move forward, especially when you get out of high school. It's an interesting transition for our seniors, their first year of college. Professors are not going to communicate with parents. Counselors aren't going to communicate with parents. Coaches aren't going to communicate with parents. They are going to expect you to communicate. And we want to just make sure that you have the tools to do so. I do want to emphasize that a lot of times, we encourage you guys as students from ninth grade on, because you have these skills, to communicate with us. And you guys have been getting better and better about that all the time. And many of you are really, really skilled at that. And that is because we want you to develop the skill. It's also because you're sitting in front of us or with us every single day. You understand what's been going on in class and the nuances of that and what you've been expected to do. It really has nothing to do with us wanting to remove your parents from the conversation. They, in fact, should be a part of the conversation as they're really a partner within that whole system, right? The teacher, the parents, and the student are all those sort of three partners in the education partnership. And so we want them involved, but we really want you to lead the communication as a student because it's a skill you need. I want to talk a little bit about the consequences of written communication in particular. For whatever reason, the nuances of written communication in our world, in our culture, what you write carries a whole lot more weight in many cases than what you say. For most individuals, it is a permanent record of your thought. Whether you text it, you post it, or you write it in an email for your employer, which is often in a monitored system, you need to consider that a permanent record of your thinking. Because once you email somebody and they have that email, what they do with that email is really up to them. The same obviously is true for a text message. Once I send somebody a text message, if I send Mr. Crannell a text message saying that I like his haircut, but I don't like his outfit, I don't know if he's not going to go home and share that with his family tonight. I have no idea what he does with his text message that I send him. That is up to him. Once I send it, I no longer own it, and that can become permanent. So there are consequences to our written communication in terms of permanence that we don't always think about as we have conversations with people. And I think there's an assumption as well, excuse me, that we have thought carefully about what we write. And sometimes we lose that, I think, a little bit in our world today with the amount of exchange that we have with people in social media. But I think that there's an assumption that what we write, we've thought about. And there's some intent. And many times there's not. But we need to be mindful of that as young adults, that there is permanence behind what we write in those emails. And that's specifically what we're talking about. I want to contrast that a little bit with text messaging. So obviously when we're text messaging, while we have to always be careful what we text message somebody as well in the language that we use there, it tends to be informal. We sometimes use emojis. We sometimes use GIFs. We use abbreviations. Somebody texted me recently, IMHO, in my humble opinion. We use slang, and we're really, really brief because of all of that, right? But as opposed to that, in our written communication and email, we need to also be mindful of the fact that many times our closed email systems, especially at work, sometimes in education, which hopefully in a couple of weeks you guys will have student email addresses that function with all of your teachers and administrators inside of our system at Folsom High School, and we'll be able to communicate with you. But it is a monitored system. And so we're professional in tone. It's not like text message. It is more detailed than text message, but it's still focused, right? So it's not rambling. It is focused on an outcome. We are looking for a purpose. I'm skipping ahead, but we're really looking for an intended outcome. I know that I'm asking for something, or I'm informing a group of something, I'm asking a question I need answered, whatever it is. But certainly there's a focus to my email that may not happen in my text message. My text message just may be happy birthday, or I miss seeing you, or something positive. And an email wouldn't be probably the best place to do that. Not that it's inappropriate, but it's more professional communication looking for a specific outcome. So we avoid abbreviations in an email when we can. We wouldn't use LOL in an email. We would probably avoid slang unless it was quoting something that was necessary. And again, we would have a purpose or an intended outcome. So I want to look at our email interface with you guys for just a second as we navigate an email system. And so I mocked this one up for us. I want to take just a general look. This is Outlook. This is my email. If I'm writing an email to somebody, let's say Mr. Crannell, and if I was a student, I'm Bart Simpson today, and I'm writing to request something, right? What do I want? First of all, I address it to Mr. Crannell in the to box. And if I want to make sure somebody else sees my request, that might be a parent of mine who would like to monitor a little bit of that conversation, or I'd like to put my mom, my dad, my counselor, for instance, or my teacher in there so that they can monitor the conversation, but this isn't specifically to them. I carbon copy or CC them on that. And again, they get to read it, but they realize that they're not the primary recipient. And typically that means that I'm asking Mr. Crannell to reply to me. I'm not asking Marge Simpson to reply to me. I'm just notifying her that I sent this email. They will, however, when Mr. Crannell replies, if he replies to all, everybody in the to box and everybody in the carbon copy box will be on that reply. The BCC box is where we can keep people confidential. So if I want to send an email to a group of people and I don't want everybody in the email to know everybody that I emailed, I might put a list of emails in BCC and then one email address, maybe even my own email address in the to box, so that the recipients of this email only see my email address. I do get the email, but everybody else in BCC, it's a private box. It's confidential. They will not see each other's addresses. So if I ever want to send a more confidential address, therefore they cannot reply to each other because they don't see each other's emails, I would use the BCC box. That's why you see that many times. The subject, we want to be clear and to the point. What I'm requesting in this email is a schedule change request. And when we do write the email, we address somebody and we address them in more formal terms. I'm going to write to my counselor. Actually, Bart Simpson would not have Mr. Adderton as a counselor. It would be Miss Estrada. So I messed that up already. But let's just play with this. Mr. Adderton, I'm writing to ask if it would be possible to drop my 6th period basket weaving class and take 0 period health. I need to complete my health requirements for graduation, and I do not intend to weave many baskets in the future. Please let me know if this is possible or if you need more information. Again, my email there, here's what I want. Here's what I'm asking. If you need more information, let me know. I'm clear. I want to drop my 6th period. I want to add 0 period, and I'm telling you what they are. And then I'm signing it with my name, and I'm signing it what grade I'm in. It makes a little bit more sense, gives us some context. If I think that I want a phone call back potentially, and that's an okay way to respond, I'll add my phone number. The other thing I think that you guys should consider doing for us, please, and we may have to ask for it if we don't find the email address, in our system to verify that it's you, I would add your student ID number, please. And you can also put that in the subject if you'd like to put that up there. Just put student ID and then type in your ID number. It should be only you or your parent who has access to that ID number. So you can give us that number. So please take the time to email us. You can follow this format as a general guideline, but it's something that you keep simple, and you can carry that forward into college with your employer, whoever you communicate with, and keep it up. You guys have done a great job of reaching out to us. Keep doing that with your teachers. Know when to use that CC box if you want to include a parent or somebody else. And we really appreciate it. It's an area that we want to make sure that you guys are well prepared when you leave Folsom High School, okay? So thank you again. Hope you guys had a good day of pause, and we will see you soon.